talking about Tolkien, Ben. I had a bit for this, and then realized that is next chapter. This is not the chapter that I thought it was.
We are doing chapter 13.
Yeah.
Not at home.
Yeah.
In which Smaug is not at home.
Yeah, I kept thinking what the characters were thinking. Where the f*** is that dragon? Because I was like, I know what he's about to do. And then I realized, oh, that's next chapter. Guess I have to wait. So, this chapter, chapter 13, Stumbling and Bumbling, I think that's the name of it, where you get a hilarious Three Stooges or Benny Hill routine where a bunch of small people fumble around in the darkness and trip all over themselves for days.
The only thing of any importance that really happens in this chapter is the dwarves check out Smaug's treasure hoard, and they find weapons, armor, and Bilbo gets the all-important mithril.
I was going to say Mithron Naruto, but you went ahead. You ruined that right up front, didn't you? All right.
I think some might say I prevented you from ruining it.
No. Wrong.
How many people
They're
listening
wrong.
to the Hobbit series do you think get your Mithron Naruto joke?
Well,
And also, I think it's
hopefully
like
we
Mithron
generate
Naruto.
more people. I don't care. I'm like Darth Vader or Anakin. I don't know which one it was that you said ran across Thrawn and just kept messing up his name nonstop in another comedic bit. But yeah, I guess short chapter. I think you described everything of importance.
That is
Ben.
literally they find
See you
the
next week.
the weapons and armor. They leave and go hang out in an old watchtower, and that's it.
And they can't find him. And they still can't find him. And they can continue to not find him. And Bilbo gets the Arkenstone, but doesn't tell anyone about it. And
Well, that is
then they're
actually
like,
very
God,
important.
it has been like 2 days without food. But you know what, guys? You know it would be a really great way to end this long fast? A 5-hour hike down the mountain to a watchtower. Who's with me? And that's it.
That's
All
when
right.
Bomber eats.
See you next week.
No, you're
This
not
is
allowed
when
to
Bomber
leave.
eats everyone.
You're not allowed to leave. So I do have.
Who's fat now, Thorin?
Okay, so that's the summary portion of the episode. Not a lot happened. I got a couple
Kept
of.
going. So we're going to Lake Town now, right? Right? And then I got to the end and I'm like, God damn it. That's next chapter.
The best part is, due to a quirk of scheduling, this is also the episode people waited 2 weeks for.
Nice.
Nice.
This is, well, to be fair, again, I thought this was going to be the chapter at Lake Town. So I was like, well, I'm going to need extra time for that. Had I known that this was this chapter, I could have read this in like 20 minutes and been ready to go last week.
I've read the rest of the book at this point.
Well, I'm rereading it. Oh,
So-
okay. You reread the rest of the book.
Yeah.
I go a chapter at a time, just like our viewers probably do.
I was going at a chapter at a time until the chapter started being 4 pages long.
What? 2 chapters ago, they were like, "We're going up the mountain, and we're hiking to the mountain, and we're going to the mountain, and we're going up the mountain, and we're going in the mountain, and we're going out of the mountain."
You're going to have a
and
real
that's the
hard
end.
time with Fellowship. So now we're in the meta portion of it. I've got a couple of things. First, some notes about last episode. If you remember, Nathaniel, I asked you if you thought Smaug's dream was a Beowulf reference. Somebody rightly reminded me that whole dang chapter is Beowulf reference. Because if you remember
Beowulf, that thing that I have read.
yeah, which you don't. Unsighted covered it. Greatest work of Old English poetry.
Right before the Norse came in and just took him over, right?
Beowulf was Swedish, so
Okay, in that case, wow.
Yeah.
When does Old English stop being Old English and it's like, I don't know, Middle
Oh, you're
English?
asking
Is
a
that a thing?
complicated question there. Chaucer, maybe?
Jesus, that's really late. It's like late medieval, isn't it?
No one, yeah, I guarantee you, if you picked up Chaucer, you wouldn't be able to read it. That's a different language for all intents and purposes. But no. So, if you remember Beowulf, which you don't, the whole thing with Beowulf, the last act of Beowulf, where he fights the dragon and he dies, that all starts because some guy took a cup from the dragon's hoard. And then the dragon goes on a rampage, which is exactly what Bilbo does. And so the fact that Smaug is dreaming of Beowulf or Wiglaf, whichever one ultimately he found more frightening, then that was just the icing on the cake. The whole thing is a Beowulf reference. So I will thank
Yeah.
Lass of the Red Rose on the anime Discord talking about Beowulf. She and I were the only two picking up on that, I'm pretty sure. But, however you can reach me. And then this chapter, I got a little bit of lore for you. And it relates to Bilbo's mithril armor. So I searched all of Norse literature. Not really. I just found something that kind of fit in something I
Control
already read.
F. Okay.
There is a guy named, and this is in translation, I forget his Norse name, Aroad. That's his name. His name is Aroad. That's what he's called. And he had a silk shirt that was stronger than armor. Nothing could pierce it. And Aroad uses that silk shirt to kill 11 berserkers. One at a time, because he says they'd be cowards if they fought him all at once. And they fall for that.
Nice. I'm liking the motorcycle in the background.
Yeah, I
really
know.
Adds some
That's
flavor.
what I'm just waiting for it to be over. And it's just, I don't know, is he doing laps? What's going on? Where's he going? Why did it was quiet all night until I hit record. I hate it. Did I have another thing? Oh, Aroad also has some magic arrows that his father left him. But that would come into play perhaps in another chapter. So I did another thing, Nathaniel.
Oh no.
Whenever I find myself not quite hitting the minimum runtime for an episode, I turn to the master of just dragging this particular story out as long as one possibly could. Peter Jackson. I finally sat down, and as a bonus episode to our patrons, I recorded my reaction. So if you really want to
haven't listened yet.
if you really want to hear my in the moment reaction, which Nate doesn't, you can subscribe to our Patreon. I think at any tier. I threw that one up at any tier. Give me $2. Somebody please make that not a colossal waste of time. You would be paying me less than $1 an hour for that work. Far
Remember,
less.
Go on to Patreon and say all the money goes to Nate. That would really
That
piss
would
them off.
be the worst. So, okay. So let's talk about the Desolation of Smaug. Because now we have covered, finally, everything that is in that movie. With this chapter, actually probably with the last chapter, we have covered everything that is in that movie.
Yeah? Okay. Wait, hold on. Wait, we've covered everything that was in that movie?
Yes.
So the movie called The Desolation of Smaug
Ends with Smaug leaving
ends
the
with
thing.
Smaug being alive?
Yes.
Oh my god. I mean, I guess there's nothing left for the third movie if you don't have him.
Well, the thing is, Smaug's going to... Okay, so let's talk about it. So the movie starts with Beorn. They're running from orcs, and they run directly into Beorn's house. That's the first scene. They don't do any of that 2x2 nonsense. They just run directly into Beorn's house. And then Beorn shapeshifts out of being a bear. He's totally nude, but he finds pants. And then they leave Beorn's house. It's all very rushed.
Is that part important? The
That he finds pants?
that he is nude at first, but then he finds pants.
They saw fit to film it. They put it on a giant green screen. Oh, by the way, completely gone, thrown out. All the forced perspective stuff, all the practical effects. Everybody's just, they filmed each individual person on a different green screen. There is a cow green screened into the setting.
Oh, that sounds awful. Did he just give up? Did he decide, like, you know what, this isn't going the way I wanted it to go, so...
You know how people picked on George Lucas for being lazy with green screens?
Yeah.
He's making George Lucas look like an ultra marathon runner.
That's an interesting an analogy, but okay. All right.
Which brings me to Mirkwood, where they rush through Mirkwood too. No elf fires, none of that. They're in Mirkwood. Bilbo just starts slapping spider webs, and that vibrates the spider web. You know how spiders work. And then the spiders attack. Bilbo puts on the ring. Bilbo also keeps taking off the ring. I don't know why. But he puts on the ring, and when he puts on the ring, he can understand the spiders. I don't know if that's a thing with the ring or what.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
But the spiders they could talk.
Yeah, they don't talk until he has the ring on, and they never talk when he doesn't have the ring on. So I don't know if it's on purpose.
Well, there you go. I bet you didn't know that the One Ring gave you the power to talk to spiders, Ben. See, that's probably because Sauron used to live next to Shelob for an extended period of time, and when he forged the ring, Shelob's essence just, like, got all up in there. And, that's how that works. That's why that is how it is, Ben.
Could be. It's as good as explanation as any.
Do they continually talk about how just fat and humongous Bomber is?
No.
Like, is there any...
I don't think anybody says the word Bomber the entire movie.
Does he comically fall in the river and on his ass, and everyone's like,
nope.
God damn, you're so huge.
Nope.
Really?
Nope. Nothing with the river.
They don't have to drag him and be like, God, you're so fat, Bomber. Your big body is really...
Nate, they're walking through Mirkwood for all of about 10 minutes.
Oh. How long is this movie, Ben?
2.5 hours.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I expected like 3 hours, and second of all, what are they doing then? If Mirkwood is 10 minutes of time in a 2.5 hour long movie,
Nate, you forgot the elf subplot.
Barrels. Oh no, that's right. Legolas is the son of the king of the elves in Mirkwood.
Yeah, and Tariel. Everybody, you remember Tariel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was she's the Wasp in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember them, and Ant-Man comes out after
he might as well.
After 5 years of the War of the Ring, and he's like, "Wow, guys, I learned time travel, and now we can defeat Sauron."
Yeah.
Or something.
They get captured by elves. They just they go straight from the spiders to captured by elves. Legolas, his damn self, captures them. And I don't know, did you ever watch Dragon Ball Superhero?
I saw the final fights.
Have you seen Chad Piccolo?
When he's all orange?
Yeah, he's orange and he's got a big jaw.
He's got a cut chin. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with Orlando Bloom's face, but he had big Chad Piccolo energy.
They had to superimpose a younger face over his much, much older face.
And we're back. So yeah.
If you want to know what we talked about, you gotta go and spend $2, and then, just think about all the other things you get for that $2 rather than what you got specifically from this episode.
Yeah. It was
you get other stuff.
Too hot for talking about Tolkien. So moving right along. Okay. So yeah, they got to digitally de-age Orlando Bloom. Orlando Bloom looks like he's put on like 20, 30 pounds of muscle since The Hobbit or since the Lord of the Rings. And they're doing something with his face. It's painful to watch him. And then Evangeline Lilly's there. The dwarves are in the Elf King's halls, you know. Thranduil says he's fought dragons in the past. And Thranduil just straight up offers to help Thorin. He's like, hey, Thorin, I know why you're here. You want to get...
Really?
Yeah. He's like, you're going... Oh, I forgot to tell you. I gotta retro. Roll it back. Thorin is very specifically looking for the Arkenstone. Because there's a prophecy that the Arkenstone will reunite the dwarf nations?
How?
Unclear.
And also, like, I mean, my guy, I don't think you realize that the Fourth Age isn't the age of dwarves. You know what I'm saying? Like, age of man all the way.
Well, I gotta wonder what's gonna happen in the next movie when Thorin...
Well, now you have to watch that one too, man.
I do have to watch that one too. But like in the next movie, Thorin's gonna presumably like call for help, right? And all the dwarves are just gonna show up.
All of them from everywhere.
Well, no, I mean probably just Dane, but like, are they fractured? I was to understand they're all on pretty good terms.
Yeah, I thought the big problem with the dwarves is that most of their nations were broken up by fucking dragons and orcs and shit.
No, just Thorns. Everybody else is doing fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Erebor used to be a happening place, and then the Smaug nation attacked.
Yeah, no. It's Erebor and Moria.
Only the Arkenstone, the master of all four elements, could save the day, but it vanished, man.
That's kind of what's going on. So they're like, so Gandalf's like...
So Bilbo's kind of an asshole, then, for keeping the Arkenstone to himself, then.
Well, so I don't know if he does. I assume it's going to happen the same way as the book, but like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, because that hasn't happened yet.
It's unclear if he has the stone by the end of the movie. I think he does. He saw it, but then Benedict Cumberbatch won't shut up, and I don't know if he got it.
Yeah, it's Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug.
Oh my God, does he suck as Smaug? This.
Does he have a mesmerizing voice that would make you spill all your secrets to him?
This may be an unpopular opinion, but I was like, could you shut the fuck up for 5 seconds? Him as Smaug, he reads some of the lines. He is so over the top. Like, you know how Smaug's supposed to be kind of like cunning and clever? Benedict Cumberbatch is just frothing at the mouth. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like any of it. I don't know.
Oh.
There were bits. There were bits where, like, every time I thought it started to work, they fucked it up.
But yeah, you said that the Elf King was like, hey, Thorin, I know what you're trying to do.
Oh, yeah. So he's like, hey, Thorin, I know you're here for the Arkenstone, reunite the dwarves, yada, yada. I'm in. Cut me in. I just want...
That's weird.
I just want some of them really nice white gems.
Oh, and Thorin being a moody asshole
and Thorin is like,
no fucking deal.
Everything about you. And
yeah, we've got 13 dwarves, a hobbit, and no plan. We're gonna get rid of that dragon all on our own, and we're gonna keep all of the white gems, you fucking piece of shit.
So Thorin is like, when I came to you homeless and destitute, you turned me away. But now that I'm here, homeless and destitute, you offer me an army? Well, fuck you, buddy. That was a weird change. I don't know why they changed that. I don't know why they made it so he knew. That's weird. Anyway, then the party with the elves, it happens right then. It's like that night.
Oh, okay. So I kind of figured that they weren't going to have them put in jail for weeks at a time with Bilbo just kind of hanging around.
Yeah, no, there's Bilbo keeps taking the ring off, by the way. He drops it a lot. You're wondering, like, oh, is he going to lose the ring? Does Lord of the Rings not happen?
Oh, I presume it's because they paid so much money for Martin Freeman. Is that his name? I don't care.
I guess.
But they wanted to have his face shown as often as possible. You can't just have an invisible, like his disembodied voice.
Well, no, because they still do the Shadow World effect.
Oh. Well, okay. I guess.
Also, there's a vast swath of the movie that he's just not in.
But it's called The Hobbit.
Like, for 40 minutes, I think he doesn't have a single line.
So it really is like Ant-Man. This movie should have been called The Hobbit and the Elves or something, right?
Hobbit and the Wasp.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, because she is the Wasp.
Yeah, and so
Perfect.
she runs into Keely in jail, and she's like, oh, he's tall for a dwarf. And then Orlando Bloom's like, but no less ugly. I'm like, what are you talking about, Orlando? He's shaved. He's the least dwarf there ever was. Oh, but then Keely, Keely says he promised his mom that he'd come back. So,
and that he was only. So it is really like my bit where they were one adventure away from retirement.
Yep. Oh, and
except they played it straight.
And I threw my headphones at my monitor as I was watching it when Gloin, they're like disarming the dwarves, and they're going through. Legolas is going through Gloin's pockets, and he pulls out a locket where Gloin has a picture of his wife, and Orlando Bloom is like, she's hideous, and then he's like, what is this? He's like, that's my boy Gimli, and I was like, oh fuck you. So, like, Legolas looks at a picture of little kid Gimli. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm going to be friends with this guy someday.
So then there's...
I guess.
Okay, so the barrel thing happens, right? But this time, Bilbo doesn't seal the barrels.
Right, I saw that.
So, like, they should
gotta
drown
have an action scene.
Immediately, though, right?
No, because there's a hole in the bottom, Ben. The water it goes right back out.
I said that they were magic barrels. Let's just pretend. Oh, and so the big barrel fight.
The big barrel fight. Yeah, I remember reading that in the book.
It's a 3-way battle between the dwarves, the elves, and orcs. The orcs just straight up attack the elf kingdom.
Yeah. I don't see what's wrong with that, Ben. Elf kingdoms are known for being easy to invade.
And then they get...
And you might be thinking, why didn't they just do that, like, years ago, even? Like, why now? If they could just grab a bunch of orcs and shut up is the reason.
Oh, the gates were open.
Oh,
because
okay.
after the barrel
God,
thing, he orders them to close the gates.
Ah, that's smart. You probably shouldn't open those.
No. I mean, like, you should just get a garage door opener or a guard. You can just have a guy open the gate when you need to come through and close it when you're done.
Smart.
I don't want to tell you how to Elf King, but, like, that's what I'd do.
Did he wear a crown of autumn on his head?
He did. He did.
Okay.
He actually did. And, as a nice nod, there were exactly 2 elves passed out drunk at the table when Bilbo threw him into the river. Oh, and Bilbo doesn't even get in a barrel. Bilbo just falls in the river.
Yeah. That sounds about right. And he swims his way 20 miles down the river, I assume.
I don't think anyone can drown. So you know how somebody picks up the barrels at the other end?
Well, the ring gives you the power of water breathing. That's how that works.
So you know how a guy's got to pick up the barrels at the other end?
Yeah.
You want to guess who that guy is?
Is it Aragorn?
No, that would be
Okay.
That would be insane.
Okay.
No.
I was like a very young Aragorn.
No, I'll give you a hint.
All right.
He immediately does a lot of bow tricks.
Why?
Do you know
Why?
Do you know who he is yet?
But it couldn't be Legolas.
It's not Legolas. He's got black hair. A descendant of kings.
Just tell me.
His father left him one black arrow.
What? Why?
It's Bard the Bowman / Boatman / Barrel Man.
He hasn't even shown up in the book yet.
No. I guess you would have to put him in the movie. So Bard has to sneak them in to Lake Town. You can't just show up.
Because?
I don't know. They're an impoverished,
Okay.
weird, gross human town. So Bard puts the dwarves back in the barrels, and then he fills the barrels with fish that he gets from I know not where. Like, there weren't fish, and then there were all the fish. And then there's this whole thing in Lake Town. There's like I want to say 40 minutes in Lake Town where like Bard is going to try to sneak him up to the mountain, but then they like Stephen Fry is the master of Lake Town. Stephen Colbert was in the background somewhere. Oh yeah, they do this whole thing in Lake Town. It sucks. But then they're shipping off. There's a little disagreement where Bard is like, these guys are going to bring the dragon's wrath down upon us. And then the master of Lake Town is like, fuck you. I'm going to arm him. I'm going to arm him. I'm going to arm him and send him to the mountain. And they go to the mountain, but
Okay.
Keely had gotten shot with a Morgul arrow. You know,
What?
You know
Is
how,
that a thing, Ben?
No.
I don't think that's real.
No.
And why would they have them?
you know how, I forgot to tell you, because Sauron's just back and everybody fucking knows it. Gandalf and
Yeah,
Radagast
but
go to this like prison
would
where the
anyone-
9 ring
I thought
wraiths
the-
were kept, and they're
Yeah,
out.
I thought the
Somebody broke
Morgul
'em out.
blade was like a ring wraith thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why common orcs just didn't carry them, right?
No, and then you know how like when Frodo gets stabbed with a Morgul blade, they're like, he needs elvish medicine. We need to get him
Yes.
to Elrond, and then they take him to Elrond, who's like fucking 10,000 years old and has
Yeah,
a ring
boy,
of
and
power. Yeah.
the most powerful beings on the planet.
Yeah, and he literally
he was like,
he literally does magic to save him, and he's like, that was pretty touch and go there for a minute.
yeah.
Well, Tariel can chew up some king's foil that they were feeding to pigs and spit it into his wound or something, and he's good.
Just like the Hunger Games.
Now you
is
might
what
be
you're
asking
telling me.
yourself why Tariel's there now, and that's because
Why is Tariel there now? Did she also get in a barrel?
so Thorin, a couple of the dwarves wind up staying behind. Feely, Keely, and another one I don't know. And while they stay behind, the orcs show up looking for Thorin, but these are ninja orcs. They don't just invade in broad daylight the way they did with the fucking elf kingdom for some reason. They decide to like sneak in at night and have a little ninja attack, and they attack Bard's house. And you might be wondering, how do they know who the hell
Yes.
Bard is or where he lives and why?
Or why, or who cares?
Yeah, I don't know. Keely got shot with a Morgul arrow.
Who shot him with the Morgul arrow?
Some random orc. Bolg, I think. No,
Okay.
it wasn't even Bolg. It was just some random ass orc.
Just some
The only one that
random
wasn't a
ass orc.
cartoon. They actually had
They
a guy
had
playing
the
that
most. They had the most one of the most powerful weapons on the planet, and just some random guy used it on a random, not even the leader of a random band of dwarves.
one. Yeah.
I feel like a Morgul arrow. That's what you save for your Gandalf or something, or like a relative of Elrond or something. Like you get them when they're unaware, and that takes them out. I
Well-
wouldn't use it on Feely or Keely because who cares about them?
Gandalf casts Arcane Orb on Sauron.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if this is when they defeat the Necromancer and.
Oh no, they don't defeat him. Gandalf gets his ass kicked.
Oh, so it's the next one where the White Council shows up.
I get
And
Galadriel
then,
was in this one for like a second.
Okay, so that's the next one.
Yeah.
And then they're like, let's go take him out. And Saruman's like, no, you leave Sauron to me. And they're all like, okay. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it took all of us to take him out, but I guess you can 1v1 him. I guess he called your mother a mean name on the internet, and now you got to 1v1 him, bro.
So I had to talk about this in our Patreon chat and Discord with somebody, but that's exactly what the wizards are not there to do. They're not there to
What?
fight Sauron. That's why they take the shape
Counterpoint.
of old men and not like
Ca-
warriors.
ca- yeah, they should just be Balrogs.
They could
Go kick
be.
his ass. Or a dragon. Dragons seem to be a shape that could hurt even gods. So,
Also, Dol Guldur, not some rundown ruin in the middle of the
Dol
woods.
Guldur sounds.
Well, that's
Anyway,
that's
yeah.
a real thing. But
I know, but just the way you said it made it sound like it was like kind of funny, like some knockoff Dumbledore in Middle Earth. Anyway, yeah. So it's not a rundown ruined castle. I'm guessing it's like a mini Mordor.
yeah, it's got like a whole like orc factory in it.
Wow. Why'd he ever flee there to go to Mordor if he could?
Presumably, the whole
He's got
White
this.
Council will kick his ass, at least a little.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, also,
That's
Gandalf
what
is
happens.
a full body CGI thing for most of that fight.
Yeah, of course he is. Better or worse than when Saruman was throwing him around with his staff in the Fellowship?
Oh, it's so much worse.
Oh my god. Oh.
The special effects in the Fellowship of the Ring, even I think Gollum. I even think the Gollum CG is better than what's on display here. There are parts of the movie that just straight up look unfinished. When you see, just go YouTube a clip of Bilbo walking around Smaug's treasure hoard. It looks
it's
worse
clear
than
that
a
he-
video game. It looks worse than
And
like a
it's-
PlayStation 3 era video game.
Because they told Martin Freeman, all right, so you're in a cave full of treasure. Look.
No.
Full
I
of
mean, like it
wonder.
doesn't. It looks like it's like animated. It looks like It looks like a cartoon,
Okay.
like Jimmy Neutron.
Okay. That is a pile of leaves from Resident Evil 4, the original version from 2004. Okay, so it looks like he's stepping on real coins or something there. And then you maybe shouldn't show the treasure hoard. I mean, I guess you have to, but
So you know how you yell at me for not playing good video games just because they have old graphics?
yeah, but this is The Hobbit, Ben.
I was gonna say, imagine being me sitting through this.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's actually looking for the Arkenstone instead of just stumbling upon it.
Well, that's because the Arkenstone's the whole reason he's here this time.
Why doesn't he go invisible and then look for it? Is Smog underneath all the gold coins?
Mm-hmm.
Dun dun dun! The gold pile just fell away, and there he is. You know what you should do? You should put on the ring. You know what you should do? You should put on the ring that makes you invisible. You should do that right now. Like right at this moment. Like put on the ring. Put on the ring. Why are you standing there doing nothing? Put on your fucking magic ring and run away. Oh, he's got it. Is he dramatically doing that? No. His hand is now in his hair, and he's looking around like, whoa. He's going to try and sneak away from the giant dragon. And then he goes into stealth mode in Skyrim, where he crouches down.
Yep.
And he just hopes that the dragon doesn't see him.
Yep.
You know, if that dragon opens up his eye, you are the first thing he is going to see. But you know what could help prevent that? If you put on your ring. Is this doing like... So Tolkien wrote the ring in The Hobbit as not the ring that corrupts you. Like
Yes.
he didn't realize that was going to be the thing, and so he uses it all the time. Oh, there he goes. He finally puts the ring on, but we know that it's the One Ring now.
Since
So,
they
like,
did The Lord of the Rings first with the movies, people are going to expect using this ring to be like a big deal. But even
Yeah.
then, I think they still overdid it with the caution. Because the thing is, when he puts on the ring, the shadow world effect, it makes everything else look better because you can't really see the fine details.
Yeah, he just did that, and it looks kind of terrible.
I mean, you can probably stop watching now if you want. I just wanted to give you an idea.
I seriously thought that Smog. Okay, so he is just running away in a straight line. I seriously thought Smog just immediately saw him because that's what it looked like.
Well, he has to run away in a straight line because the sound stage they're on is only like 20 by 40.
I can smell you. I can hear you breathing. I thought he just straight up saw him with like smog vision.
Smog magic.
It looks like it because he looks directly at him, and it looks like it's like got the weird overlay. So and he's glowing, so it's like okay, so Smog just can see him in this one.
Do you want to keep watching more?
Absolutely not.
You can turn it off.
I already turned it.
Oh,
off.
okay. Because
So
what happens next, the big climax of the movie, is they have to reignite the forges and they try to kill Smaug by dumping molten gold on him.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It doesn't work, but also like he's covered in gold and jewels. He uses it like armor. He's made of fire. In what world would you not just be like giving him a suit of armor?
Well, if we're lucky, we wouldn't give him a suit of armor over that exposed part in his stomach. Look, Ben, the Hobbit wasn't actiony enough, okay? The dwarves don't do anything to Smaug. We can't let that happen. So they gotta do something to him, right? Sure.
I would argue that The Hobbit would have been a much better movie if you hadn't done the action and you just did what you actually had money and time to do. But yeah, I watched it, and I thought like with Lord of the Rings, there's a couple of big things in the Lord of the Rings movies where they made changes that confuse people and that like people now think is what actually happened. Like for example, Sauron or Saruman being the reason they got to turn back from the mountain. Saruman possessing Theoden, the big wizard fight where Gandalf gets shot with telekinesis up to the top of the tower. Obviously, none of that stuff happens in the books, but like those are like.
You don't know that that didn't happen. It could have happened off screen.
No, I literally know that Gandalf walked up to the top of the tower.
No, he was shot up there with telekinesis.
He surrenders.
Yeah, he surrenders and then gets shot up the tower with telekinesis. Like,
I actually know for a fact these things did not happen. It's not even open for interpretation.
Are you sure it didn't happen off screen?
But okay, so that's the thing though. These are like minor tweaks.
What if Frodo fucked up? Like, you know how Bilbo fucked up when he wrote the first edition of The Hobbit and lied? Like, what if Gandalf was like, I was too embarrassed that I got my ass kicked by Saruman and shot up to the top of the tower with telekinesis? I'm just gonna say I walked up there and surrendered.
So
like a hero.
So minor tweaks, right? And I thought like, okay, I'll drop some hints about like what's different in the movies versus the books. Like with the first Hobbit movie, we could talk about a lot of the stuff with like Azog and all that junk. This was just like, to call it an adaptation is incorrect. It is like a loosely based on. It is as much an adaptation as like any fan fiction is an adaptation of the source material. There's some characters that have the same names. And like the setting is kind of the same. But what you actually see on the screen is like not. It'd be easier to say what stayed the same. But unfortunately, with the next chapter, we begin the Battle of the Five Armies.
Stuff is gonna happen, and
which means I gotta watch that movie.
You don't have to, but I'm not gonna stop you. I'm just not going to.
I don't blame you. I was shocked by how bad it looks. I honestly don't know how anyone defends those movies. If you can like that, you can like anything.
Yeah. And I can like anything, Ben.
I choose not to. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably edit that way down, but
That was an episode
that was an episode of talking about
it was
Tolkien.
52 minutes long of recording about what, like 7 pages of a book, and then we had to talk about a shitty movie no one asked for. Great stuff. If you want to get this right when it's released, and you do,
And you want to get the
Or-
bonus movie tracks.
yeah, there you go. $2 on our Patreon. Just $2. And if you want a quarterly bonus episode, which is definitely like I'm working on it this week on Hellhole, there's that too. $3 for that one.